Have you worked your whole life, only to enter your golden years still worrying about money, time, or what others think? You were supposed to finally rest, to wake up slowly, sip your tea in peace, and feel light, not heavy with invisible pressure. But instead, many of us carry old habits into retirement like stones in our pockets. Saving out of fear. Saying yes out of guilt. Staying busy just to avoid the quiet. We think we are being responsible, but sometimes we are just being haunted by a lifetime of shoulds that no longer serve us. The truth is, aging is not just about adding years. It is about subtracting what weighs you down. Researchers show that people who consciously let go of outdated habits after 60 experience better mental health, deeper relationships, and even longer life expectancy. Let that sink in. Letting go, not holding on, is what heals you now. In this video, I will walk you through 9 tips that show you exactly how to do that, with grace, with strength, and with dignity. You deserve a chapter that feels light, joyful, and truly yours, so please stay until the end, because the last one may just free your heart in a way nothing else has. I would appreciate it if you like this video. It helps me continue sharing these healing truths about growing older with strength, peace, and positive energy. If you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. As we begin, I invite you to think of this not as a list of things to give up, but a list of burdens you were never meant to carry forever. Each one is a quiet weight, a whisper in the background of your life, and as we gently release them, one by one, you may find that your heart feels lighter, your body moves easier, and your days start to glow with meaning again. Tip number 1, stop saving out of fear, and start trusting the life you've built. Most of us were raised to believe that saving money is a moral duty. Save for the rainy day, save just in case, save because the world is uncertain. And for decades, this mindset protected us. It helped us raise families, pay off homes, and stay afloat in storms. But researchers show that after the age of 60, people who continue to save out of anxiety, even when they have enough, report higher levels of financial stress and lower life satisfaction than those who feel safe spending on joy. Why? Because the body does not know the difference between real danger and imagined scarcity. Saving money should serve your peace, not feed your fear. Let me tell you about Howard, 74 years old, who came into my office with deep tension in his shoulders. He had over $1.5 million saved. No debt. Modest lifestyle. But every time his wife suggested a vacation or buying a new recliner, he would clench up and say, "What if we need that money later?" I asked him gently, "Howard, what if later never comes the way you expect it to?" He sat still for a moment, and then, like a quiet river, tears welled in his eyes. That question unlocked something. 2 months later, they flew to Maine, held hands by the lighthouse, and said it was the first time they felt truly retired. Here is my personal view from one heart to another. I am not asking you to be reckless. I am inviting you to be real. If you have planned well, if your needs are covered, then your money is not just for survival. It is for experiences, for connection, for dignity. You earned more than a number in a bank account. You earned a life that feels full. And maybe the question now is not, what if I run out? But, what is still worth spending on while I still can? Sometimes, the weight we carry is not what we keep in our wallets, but what we allow into our lives. Spending is not just about money. It is about attention, time, and energy. And in this season of life, every ounce of your energy is sacred. So let us talk about the second burden many carry without even realizing it. Tip number 2, stop spending on what doesn't bring you joy, and start spending with your heart. As we get older, our needs become simpler, but our spending often stays the same. Why? Because habits are sticky. Guilt is stubborn. And the need to please others runs deep. Researchers show that older adults often spend thousands every year on items that bring no emotional return. Clothes that go unworn, gifts bought out of obligation, or gadgets bought because they were on sale. And over time, this kind of spending creates a quiet resentment, a feeling of too much, but also not enough. I remember speaking with Maria, a 72-year-old woman who said something I will never forget. I spent over $4,000 last year on things I barely remember. But the $600 I spent flying to surprise my sister on her birthday? That weekend lives in my heart forever. They laughed until they cried, slept in the same bed like children, made soup together, and told stories from their childhood. No handbag ever gave her that feeling. So here is what I believe with all my heart. After 60, spending should not be about impressing, escaping, or filling some emptiness you were taught to hide. It should be about expressing love, presence, meaning. Maybe it is a reclining chair that eases your back. Maybe it is dinner with a dear friend. Maybe it is donating to a cause that makes your soul feel useful. The question is not, can I afford this? But rather, does this add light to my life? Some habits are harder to let go of, not because they are still useful, but because they have become part of our identity. We hold on because we are afraid of what might happen if we stop. And nowhere is that more true than with how we treat our time. Tip number 3, stop trading time for money and start trading time for meaning. For most of your life, time and money were intertwined like thread. You woke up early, punched the clock, built your life by giving hours in exchange for dollars. That rhythm was necessary. It helped you provide, survive, and build a future. But researchers show that after retirement age, continuing to work purely for financial gain, rather than for joy or purpose, is linked to higher rates of depression, fatigue, and even cognitive decline. The reason? Your soul starts to hunger for meaning, not just income. Let me tell you about Gerald, 68 years old, a former insurance salesman. He kept working part-time even after his mortgage was paid and his pension kicked in. Why? Because I do not know what I would do without it, he said. But behind his eyes, I saw it. Exhaustion. He was not afraid of poverty. He was afraid of stillness. I gently asked him, what if the next chapter of your life is not about earning, but about unfolding? 2 months later, Gerald retired. He started teaching local kids how to fish. He said it gave him a joy he never felt behind a desk. Here is what I believe. Working after 60 is not wrong, but continuing to trade your life force just to stay busy, that is a kind of poverty we never speak about. If your work brings you structure, joy, connection, keep going proudly. But if it drains you, keeps you small, or numbs your spirit, it may be time to lay it down. You have already paid your dues. Your time is no longer a paycheck. It is a gift. And it deserves to be spent on what matters most to you now. If you are still here, thank you for listening. Coming up next is something so many seniors do without realizing, postponing joy until someday. But what if someday is already knocking? We often think that waiting is wise, that putting things off means we are being careful. But sometimes, delay becomes a disguise for fear. And one day, we look up and realize, life has been waiting on us all along. Tip number 4, stop putting off experiences and start living while you still can. How many times have you whispered to yourself, one day, I'll take that trip, I'll start that hobby, I'll visit that person? But researchers show that the majority of unfulfilled goals among people over 65 are not because of money, but because of delayed action rooted in fear or habit. And sadly, many of those goals fade away, not with a bang, but with a quiet forgetting. I once met a couple. Arlene and Dennis, both in their early 70s, who had talked for years about driving across America in a vintage Airstream. They had the funds, the time, the dream, but every year they pushed it. Next summer, until Dennis had a small heart episode. It was not life-threatening, but it shook them. That scare became the wake-up call. They finally packed the trailer, hit the road, and 6 months later, they told me it was the best chapter of their marriage. Not because every day was perfect, but because they finally said yes to themselves. Here is my personal truth. You do not need to wait until everything is in place. You do not need permission from anyone. And you do not need to justify joy, whether it is writing a letter, planting a garden, learning to paint, or walking barefoot on a beach you have never seen. Do it. Because life does not reward perfection. It rewards presence. And maybe, just maybe, the miracle you are waiting for is waiting for you to begin. Your body has carried you through decades of storms, victories, and daily routines. It has been your silent companion through every chapter. But now, in this sacred season, your body is not asking for perfection. It is simply asking to be remembered, respected, and cared for. Tip number 5, stop neglecting your health and start protecting your freedom. After 60, health is no longer just about numbers on a chart. It becomes the foundation of everything you love. Walking without pain, sleeping deeply, traveling freely, and playing with your grandchildren without exhaustion. Researchers show that even light physical activity after age 60 reduces risk of cognitive decline by 30% and cuts heart disease risk nearly in half. But here is the deeper truth. Your health is not just about living longer. It is about living better. I once sat with a man named Robert, 76 years old, who told me, "I have enough money, enough time, but I do not have enough energy to enjoy either." His blood pressure was high, his legs were weak, and every time he tried to plan a trip with his daughter, he canceled, afraid he could not keep up. So we started small. 10-minute walks, a gentle strength class, a weekly salad instead of fast food. 3 months later, his daughter called me in tears. "He just walked the whole zoo with my son," she said, and he laughed the entire time. Here is what I know. You do not need to become a gym rat or live on kale. You just need to begin. Walk around the block, stretch before bed, choose water, make one nourishing meal this week, and schedule that checkup you have been avoiding. Because neglect is not freedom. It is quiet erosion. And caring for yourself is not selfish. It is sacred. Your body is not betraying you. It is begging to be loved back into strength. Sometimes the heaviest chains are invisible. They are not around our wrists, but around our thoughts. The constant need to be approved of, accepted, or seen a certain way. But after 60, whose opinion really matters anymore, if not your own? Tip number 6, stop worrying what others think and start living authentically. For decades, you may have worn a dozen hats: the reliable parent, the good spouse, the loyal employee, the quiet friend who never caused trouble. You did what was expected. But researchers show that the #1 regret people express at the end of life is this: I wish I had had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. Imagine carrying that realization at the very end, when the chance to change is gone. I once worked with a woman named Evelyn, 67 years old. For most of her life, she had wanted to take an art class, to paint with her hands, to explore color and mess and beauty. But she held back. "What if people laugh at me?" she whispered. "What if they think I'm foolish at my age?" I looked her gently in the eye and said, "What if your soul has been waiting for this your whole life?" She enrolled. She painted a crooked tree with purple skies and green clouds, and when she showed it to me, she smiled like a child who had finally come home. Here is what I believe. After 60, you earn the sacred right to say no without guilt, yes without justification, and to show up in the world as yourself, not as a performance. Wear the bold colors. Skip the loud party. Take the solo trip. Sit in silence if you want to. Because this life is not a stage. It is a garden. And you get to choose what blooms. You are not too much. You are not too late. You are exactly enough, as you are. In this season of life, your home should be your sanctuary, not a storm. But too often, the voices we let in through our television or phone begin to shape how we see the world, and even how we feel inside our own skin. Tip number 7, stop watching doom and gloom and start protecting your inner peace. Staying informed is important, but being emotionally hijacked every day by fear, anger, or despair, that is not wisdom. That is erosion. Researchers show that older adults who consume more than 2 hours of daily negative news have significantly higher rates of anxiety, sleep disturbance, and chronic stress. Why? Because the brain absorbs fear like a sponge, and over time, it becomes the water we swim in. Let me share what happened with Samuel, 73 years old. Every morning, he watched 3 straight hours of cable news. War, politics, crime, crisis. He was always agitated, on edge. One day his wife turned to him and said, "You talk more about the world's problems than your own grandchildren." That moment pierced him. Slowly, he started limiting his news to just 15 minutes a day. He replaced the noise with jazz music, gardening podcasts, and reading his old poetry books. Within a month, he smiled more, slept better, and reconnected with the people around him. Here's what I want you to know. The world is not only suffering, it is also full of sunrise, kindness, laughter, and healing. But if you only listen to chaos, you will forget the sound of calm. Choose stories that lift you. Watch people who respect your mind, not manipulate your fear. And when it gets too loud, turn it off. Not because you do not care, but because you finally care for yourself. You were not made to carry the weight of the whole world. You were made to carry light. For many, money brings both comfort and fear. A silent tug of war between wanting to feel secure and not knowing if you truly are. But after 60, your financial life should feel less like a puzzle and more like a peaceful path forward. Tip number 8, stop ignoring your financial plan and start finding peace in it. Money is not just numbers on a spreadsheet. It is emotion. It is memory. It is all the years you worked, saved, sacrificed. And now, it is time for that money to serve you, not haunt you. Researchers show that seniors who either avoid or obsess over their finances are more likely to experience anxiety, sleeplessness, and indecision. True peace comes from clarity, not control. I once worked with a couple, Donna and Ray, both in their early 70s. Ray had a binder full of charts and investment papers. Donna, on the other hand, refused to even look at their bank account. "It's too stressful," she said. But both were anxious, one from overmanaging, the other from avoidance. So we sat down and created a simple monthly plan. They talked openly about their needs, their dreams, their legacy. And when it was done, Donna looked at Ray and said, "This is the first time I feel safe, not just with the money, but with you." Here is my belief. A strong financial plan should give you permission, not punishment. Yes, check your accounts. Yes, talk to your advisor. But once your basics are covered, let your money do what it was always meant to do. Support your living, not just your survival. Because you did not save all your life to stare at numbers. You saved to say yes to life. The measure of a good retirement is not the balance in your bank, but the peace in your body when you wake up in the morning. Now, my friend, we've come to the final one. The quietest truth. The one no one wants to say aloud. but everyone feels in their heart. Let us speak it with tenderness. There comes a time when we stop counting birthdays and start counting moments. A time when we realize, not in fear, but in wisdom, that the road ahead is shorter than the road behind, and that makes every sunrise more sacred than the last. Tip number 9. Stop living like you have forever, and start honoring the life you still have. No one wants to think about the end, but ignoring the truth does not make it less true. Researchers show that people who live with a conscious awareness of life's finiteness, not fearfully, but mindfully, make more meaningful choices, heal relationships faster, and report deeper joy in everyday moments. Not because they do more, but because they feel more. I once asked an 80-year-old client a simple question. If you knew this was your last year, what would you change? He didn't hesitate. I'd write letters to my children. I'd forgive my brother. I'd stop saying, maybe later. Then he paused, tears in his eyes, and said, so why am I not doing those things now? That single moment changed the course of his year and his heart. Here is what I believe, and I say it with love. You do not need a diagnosis to start waking up. You do not need to wait for crisis to soften your spirit. You can begin today with one call, one step, one act of love. Tell someone what they mean to you. Sit in the sun and let it kiss your skin. Make peace with what you cannot fix. This is not about rushing. It is about returning to what matters most. Life is not unlimited, but it is still unfolding. And you, my friend, are still holding the pen. Thank you for walking this path with me. If even one of these reminders helped you breathe a little easier, then this time together was worth it. You have worked hard, given deeply, and carried so much for so long. But now, you are allowed to lay some of it down. Not because you are giving up, but because you are choosing what matters more. Aging is not about disappearing. It is about distilling, shedding what no longer serves you, so that what remains can shine with meaning. So I ask you, softly but sincerely, what are you ready to let go of, starting today? Share it in the comments if you feel moved. You never know who might find courage in your words. And if this message touched something in you, I invite you to leave a simple comment that says, Number 1, it lets me know you are here and still choosing life. Subscribe for more healing truths and positive energy, because aging should never mean silence, shame, or surrender. See you in the next video.